in the world.
Why don't you just tell the story?
It's my brother, dude.
Then why tell the story?
He's the one who sent the video that I put on Facebook that 7,000 people saw. All of that was a lie. I gotta put myself in danger?
Hello, nerds. Welcome to the Geek Girl Story Salon, where I talk to creatives from across disciplines and across the world about the art of storytelling. I'm your host, Jen Jackalone, lifelong storyteller and head geek in charge. We've got some great guests coming up, like Jade Taylor of Sci-Fi's The Magicians and Star Trek writer Una McCormack, so be sure to smash that like and subscribe button to stay up to date on the heaping helpings of brain food coming your way, courtesy of our partners fleetoffandoms.com and Ilva Publishing, an independent publisher for women's fiction. My guest today has storytelling in his DNA. He's the director of not one but two, count them, two documentaries about the emotional roller coaster of owning the Back to the Future DeLorean time machine. He was literally the world's first vlogger, starting his vlog 7 years before YouTube even existed, and he is the Guinness Book of World Records longest running vlogger. Now he has the first VR vlog, which you can enjoy if you happen to own a Quest headset. This man is both a natural storyteller and has a love for leveraging the bleeding edge of technology to do what he does best, and he's also, in my estimation, a pretty cool dude. Welcome to the salon, Adam Contras. So, I know I sent you a bunch of questions and stuff, but before we get to, all of the stuff that I know I wanted to talk about, I just have to ask this, because I watched the DeLorean movies. I've watched, a lot of your canon of films that you put up. And, when we start off the first, the fastest DeLorean in the world, the first one, you already own the DeLorean. You've been taking it to these gigs, and you own the DeLorean time machine. You're doing stuff with it, and that was your job, man. Driving around in the time machine, which, for our generation, Gen X, that's incredible. So I need to know the thought process that went into you going, I need to own the time machine.
That's why you watch the Journey movies, because it shows how all that crap happened. That's okay.
Okay, I got through the first Journey movie. I didn't get through the second Journey movie. That's where it happens. Okay.
That's what's too bad, because the first Journey movie is just getting punched in the face for 10 straight years. And then the second one is making up for that. The second one is so nice. My family, we would just watch it because we want to feel good, because it's the sweetest makeup for how awful the first 10 years in LA were. But it's very simple. I start building this mini golf course because I was just trying to cover dusty, sandy ground in my backyard that would not grow grass. No matter what, we even brought in soil, didn't work. So as I'm doing that, one thing leads to another, and I get the idea of, wouldn't it be cool to have charity tournaments? Maybe I'll theme the holes. Ooh, that's a good idea. And I'll make one Back to the Future. And then, I wonder if somebody has a DeLorean time machine that they can bring it out for an event, and blah, 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 blah. It ends up that person falls through, and I say, well, God damn it, I already told everybody time machine was going to be here. What would it take to make one and do an event? So I found a builder, so on and so forth. And I said, damn it, it's almost 2015. I bet you I could make a living doing this. Because I have good editing skills, I can make commercials, I can do all this stuff. I bet you I can do this. And if not, I'll just sell it again in the peak of the 2015 future stuff. I bet I'd make money no matter what. So I do it. Ends up in 2015, we're busier than I ever thought, made double the price of the car. Oh my God. And then I thought it would be over, and it just kept going and going. And then obviously the fastest DeLorean stuff comes along, and it turns into this all-encompassing. It was nice before the swap, because it was just really an easy gig. I got to stay home with my kids, basically. You book a couple big shows, events, and I didn't really need to work every day. It was wonderful. I got to raise my kids. And now after the swap, however, all the problems with the car turned it into, it felt like a real job. Then it wasn't so Gen X. Hell yeah, it was like, this sucks, because I'm not a mechanic. Well, I am a mechanic now, but Yeah, it got ugly. If you watch the Fastest Lauren movies, it
Yeah.
became very emotional and very difficult. Listen, I still have one of the coolest jobs ever, but my heart went out of it after Fastest DeLorean, and from that point on, it's been trying to find who I am again. And ironically, the movie, making the movies, is what started putting me back on the path of feeling like me again. Um, and I'm here today doing all the VR stuff.
Yeah, well, and I want to talk about that because like I've seen you getting all excited about like the VR stuff. So
Yeah, by the way, your questions are awesome. Like I skimmed them. I was giving you shit because you're giving away. Oh, you gave away your great questions, so I can't honestly be like, damn, what a great question. The one where you asked me about the car is like almost like a relationship. I was like, that's so. I was talking to my wife about that, going, man, it's exactly. Say the question so I can say my answer.
okay, all right. All right, so you went through like this intense, crazy stuff with this car.
Right.
And so what I wanted to know was if you had to personify the car, what kind of person would it be, and how would you describe that relationship?
I had never thought of it this way because I do have a very weird relationship with that car. um, so I finally, I was up in the middle of the night because I'm dealing with this issue in my bathroom and everything's falling apart, and so you can't sleep. You get up at like 2 a.m. and your brain starts thinking of how to fix all the problems.
Mhm.
And I thought of that question, and here's what it is. It's like you got married, good couple years, you have kids,
Mhm.
you realize you and your wife, this is not going to be the end game. However, you don't hate each other. You have a pretty good, but you know that once the kids are a certain age, you're probably just going to move on. You're not like staying together for the kids, but it's just you're not in love anymore. You like each other, but it's just so you're always looking ahead, like for the escape route. And how is it going to end? How do I get rid of this in a way that doesn't piss off the kids? And they, you know what I mean? Like you're in that malaise, that purgatory of waiting for, I know I'm going to leave. This isn't me. So like with that car, if somebody offered me money, I would sell that shit in a heartbeat. But it would have to be a lot of money because the business makes a lot of money, right? So it's
Mhm.
not just the car. It's not easy. It's not like somebody has a lot of money just hanging around. So on the other hand, every once in a while I get to do really cool events. Did an event with Christopher Lloyd a couple months ago, and
Mhm.
because now I'm doing these new VR vlogs, all the events have become new again because I get to capture them in this 3D 180-degree reality, which is really cool because I can put the camera in the car and you're sitting there and you see the roof and you're looking out. I mean, and it's intense. It actually feels like you're with me. So that's the relationship. That's the personification. It's like an okay marriage, but you both know you're getting out amicably. Like,
Right.
I'm sure that car would like an owner that appreciated him a lot more than I do. It's the same thing. And I can't wait to get rid of that fucking car.
Right.
Oh, can
So
we curse on this? Oh my God. I should have
what's that?
asked. Can we curse? Am I gonna cursing?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh,
If it gets out of hand, I'll bleep it. So
if you want no cursing, I was in radio. I can totally turn off the cursing button. Watch this. Here we go.
okay.
Oh golly, dude. My second word after saying I wouldn't curse was shit. I give up.
All right. You know what? Let's just do it. It's gonna be that kind of show. So
Anyway, that was my answer to
yeah, I know, and that's a great answer. And it does feel like it's a very complicated relationship.
Yeah, it is. I mean, once when you're driving, the car could blow up, right? Because it blew
Mhm.
up. It's not fun to go to work. Like it's not. There's no other way to put it. It doesn't matter how nice the gig is, how much money it is. Thinking the car is going to explode It's
But
like it's intense, and we got little babies at home, and I mean, that's what's so crazy about that documentary. Is that, boy, that was not what I was planning on capturing. This wasn't supposed to be a journey movie. This wasn't supposed to be Adam's feelings and all these. That's my journey. I specifically did Fastest DeLorean to showcase my brother. That was the only thing that was going to happen. I was barely going to be in it, other than we were zooming to each other. He was supposed to build it. He was supposed to race it. He was supposed to get the record. And it's like, hey, this is one, and it's a big advertisement for his business of building cars. And then it turned into
what it turned into.
Awfulness, man. I did
Family
not
drama. Wow.
like, man. And it's funny, everybody's like, well, you probably knew that was going to happen. You never worked with your family. But I'm like, no, I didn't think that was going to happen. Obviously, why would I have put my entire livelihood into this dude's hands? It was never intended to be. The drama was supposed to be building it and racing it. That sounded like enough drama to me. I did not think he would disappear in the middle and leave me with a lemon. Like, holy shit.
Yep. Which was pretty much what I said when I was watching it. When you got to the part where you're scrolling the text, I was like, whoa.
I will do screenings of that movie, and the tone changes so fast. You're like, oh, here's where we're building, and the music's all happy, and you're like, and it's so much fun to watch it start. And then those texts come out of nowhere, and I'm so proud of that as a filmmaker, because that's exactly what it felt like. Thank God he did it by text, because what's the voiceover for that anybody would ever believe, right? There's no way to tell that story. Like, text, you can read it and be like, what? Cancel the flights? Why? Huh? Dude, that is one of the craziest things I think I've ever experienced. And I was so happy I could actually share that with other people watching it, because boy, it's a gut punch, man. That is a gut.
Yeah. When it came up and you zoomed in on the date on the screen, I was like, oh
that bitch. I'm sorry. I'm still a little angry. It's been 10 years almost, or not 10 years, like 5, 6, 7 years. But yeah, that one.
But I mean, this does go also to just curiosity on my end, as like, how do you about making a documentary? Because how do you make something when you don't know what it's going to be?
Well, no, I haven't. I mean, I think every documentary does this. Like, you have an outline, you have an idea. You're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to spend all this money. That's dramatic, right? That's exciting. It involves the goddamn DeLorean time machine, so it's going to be cool. What's funny is that you could tell by the pacing, just me shipping the car to Columbus was dramatic, because that truck looked like it was never going to show up. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done. But so I was just like, that's when I knew in my head, I'm just going to outline it. I'm just going to show the build. I flew out to Columbus to help. Easy, you build the car, you put it on a racetrack, you try to get it, you either get it or you don't. Like, there's the drama. I knew that was what I was documenting. So I just kept recording. The difference with this documentary is that we were doing a live video diary blog, I guess, during. So like, you'd go to Fastest DeLorean in the world.com or whatever, and you'd watch the build and all that stuff. So when the lying started, I couldn't hide it like you would normally in a documentary. Like, wait, and then like think about it. Like, it was being done in real time. I had to take the whole video diary down. And then it was like, oh my God, now I've just sunk 6 months at, like, what do I do? And then I kept trying to find ways to shield him and be like, hey dude, all right, I don't have to say anything about that video. Just can we please just come out? Let's just finish this up. The film, I just wanted to make a film for you, brother. I don't know what. And then obviously that didn't happen. And then even if Ray, the first driver I hired to if he had gotten it, I probably could have just said, yeah, Kenny couldn't do the race. Hi, Ray. Nice little button. Move on. But then when he didn't get it, And then it fell apart, and then I had to rebuild it, and then it kept going, and I'm like, okay, well, now clearly the story is what I've been left with. And it was heartbreaking that I had to tell. I as I say in part 2, I did the whole movie. I got the record. I didn't know how to. I even doing the bit with Don, it was almost in the can, and I couldn't release it until the car exploded. And then it was like, all right, fuck it, man. Like, I'm not. I can't lose everything. You can't nearly kill me, and I just can't. I gotta tell the truth, dog. Like, there's nothing I can do here. So,
yeah,
it's a
well,
great story. I just wish I wasn't in it. What a great story! Like, I love the way the pacing of those two movies. I'm just so happy with it. Just wish it wasn't my family. Why did it have to be my family? So yeah, rough, dude. Oh well.
yeah, I mean, and as it was happening, you kind of knew that was gonna end up being the story.
Well, no, as it was happening, I kept trying to go back to what I initially wanted to, but it's only because it was my family. Listen, if I was doing other people, if I was shooting a document, I'd be like, wow, this story got really exciting. You know what I mean? And I would have been, but I guess that's the story. My inner struggle with how, it's like breaking the fourth wall, really, but my inner struggle with how to handle this. There's a movie about a filmmaker, the guy who made Saints of the Boondock Saints. It's called Overnight, I believe. They were doing, his brothers or his friends or whatever were doing a film about him and all the success, and then he turned into this gigantic asshole, and it shifted mid. It felt kind of like the same kind of thing. And I think they also talked about, oh God, what do we do with all this footage? We don't know. This was not our intention. And then you always have people saying, well, it's your movie. You didn't have to say it like that. I mean, that's the only criticism I seem to get from people is, well, it's your brother. You never should have released it. You just don't speak ill of family. And that was in the back of my head the whole year, again, until the car exploded on the side of the road. And then I was like, all right, what exactly am I about to sacrifice just to make sure he should be told the truth. People should know. Maybe don't take a car to this guy. I don't know. Like, I mean, at some point you almost feel like a responsibility for other, right? Yeah, like, right. Dude, man, like that's some serious lack of accountability. And that's really all you need to be as a mechanic, right? It's just to be accountable. like that's, but I don't care if you make mistakes, but please tell me you made them so I don't kill my kids in my car, right? So, oh God.
Yeah. When that was like the last shot of the movie, it was just the car on the side of the road in flames.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah, it sucked, dude. It's again, very proud of the movies.
No, yeah, well, and you should be, because they're really, I mean, those movies tell a story that is probably one of the craziest stories that has actually happened to anyone I know personally.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like somebody didn't actually die, but no, for the most part, just the ethics and ethos of how do you handle the scruples of a situation, like that's what I like about it. And you know what's really cool? I've noticed that movie is a litmus test for narcissists. The reactions that I've gotten, if you're a normal human being or have a regular empathy, whatever, but narcissists who see that movie, I get weird emails from people about that get angry at me for that movie. There's nothing in that movie you could possibly be angry with me about. I know, I know how characters were. There's nothing there. If you're angry with me, you're angry because somebody was held accountable, which is something that triggers some shit in your brain that makes you right. Mm-hmm. I've gotten some of the weirdest emails from people that obviously they're talking about stuff that happened to them, or it's a weird litmus test because, again, on its surface, there's nothing black you can say about the character of Adam, right? There's just, it's not in there. You have to provide it, right? Now, that could be me because I'm biased and I shielded everything and made myself look good. But what's on those two movies, there is no black there. And there's gray with all the Kenny and all that, but there's no, that'd be like hating Ray. It's like, there's nothing. Ray was just a wonderful folk hero that hippie came in from Arizona on a weekend and raced some car. Like, what a great guy. You can't possibly hate him. If you do, something's wrong with you. So yeah, I've gotten some interesting emails, for sure.
That's interesting. I mean, like you're always gonna get reactions when you put something into the world, when you make art. Like, and frankly, if you're not getting reactions, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I hate to say that. Well, yeah, welcome to the journey. my 12 view videos. So,
but yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, it's interesting to me because like you kind of hint at it a little bit, but like the Back to the Future DeLorean, the time machine, like it has this collective meaning for our generation. Like it just hits, some note for so many people. Like, and it's such a weird movie. Like I was watching a John Mulaney bit, where he's talking about, he's like, okay, so the main character is this high school student, and his best friend is a disgraced nuclear physicist.
No, it's funny when there's interviews about Bob Gale trying to pitch it to Disney. They're like, he makes out with his mom. Like, what? This is not a Disney film, And when you break it down, I mean, the Tom Wilson, or I'm sorry, Biff rape scene in the car, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's pretty sketch.
He was sexually assaulting her, like in the middle of the movie. It's like it wasn't even vague. It's funny because I saw this when I was 9 or 10, and it didn't hit me the same way then. And then as an adult, you go back and you're like, God damn, wow, he was straight up what? It's so adult. Yet it's just thinly veiled enough that kids love it. It's the greatest movie to kids.
Yeah, well, and like at the age we were at when it came out, it's sort of like it just didn't process the same way. Like,
oh, that's right. But I'm sure it's funny. I should ask my dad or my parents when they watched it if they made those connections. Although it's funny, a PG in 1981 or whatever. They were a little more, before PG-13. Remember, everything that was not R was just PG, right? It changed with Temple of Doom. That's when they were like, okay, we need it in between because this movie's PG, except for like, you just ripped that guy's heart out. This is a little intense. So that's when PG-13 came into effect. And there's all these PGs before that are really, really close. It's hard. Like it's not R, but boy, it's is not appropriate.
If it had been made now, it would be squarely PG-13.
Clearly. Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah. But, like, what do you think it is about Back to the Future, like specifically the first one, but, the franchise as a whole?
Performance is one of the best performances those people have ever done. Straight up. It's magic. It's just those magic moments. It could be the best writing. I'm sure Gale would say it was the best writing he did, and Zemeckis would probably say the same. Zemeckis obviously went on to do more directing, but everybody was at their absolute peak. I know we talk about Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, but my goodness, Crispin Glover. My goodness, Tom Wilson. My goodness, Leah Thompson. Could Leah Thompson have been any more lovable? Also Leah Thompson, she's just this horny girl that wants to have sex with everything. Like, that's also very odd for the time, right? Like, she was all over Michael J. Fox in that bedroom. And that wasn't really something like it was, but we loved her.
Yeah,
and we thought
yeah.
it was endearing. That's a performance, right? Like all of that was just top notch. And then the editing, my God, that movie is so good. That and Ferris Bueller probably is the best editing of the 80s I've ever seen, because so many of those movies, you go back and watch them and you're like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I still love it. I still watch every Thanksgiving, but it's like, it's 80s pacing. It's a little bit slow, and obviously 70, it's a whole different thing. But man, Ferris Bueller, and Back to the Future, you watch 25 seconds of that movie and you watch 25 minutes of it. Even me, who has to work in that, like, and I'm sick of the movie, but it'll come on or I'll see it and I'll just sit because I want to see what I like. It's brilliant. It's just everything with everyone. And the magic. And there's no way to capture it. You know, it was going to be Eric Stoltz. If it was Eric Stoltz, it wouldn't have been the same movie. Even with all those people, it just wouldn't have been the same movie. So yeah, magic, dude.
Lightning in a bottle.
It really is. I mean, that is the most perfect lightning in a bottle. This also the script, from a script perspective, it broke every goddamn convention of how you write a script or how arcs are supposed to go ever. And it just did it unabashedly, and it's one of those magic movies, man. That's shit. Even Don, I hate to admit it, because he's my friend and I don't like to give him any more credit for anything, because we usually don't talk about Back to the Future. But even Mayor Goldie Wilson, the way that scene is delivered, the earnestness in his eyes and his smile, and what you as the audience are doing, because you remember, oh God, he's going to be mayor. They set that up that arc is so beautiful, and oh my God, it's perfect. It's a perfect scene. Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, you hope you could ever write these, and you again, perfect acting, perfect. I can't imagine anybody else doing any of those roles. Beautiful movie.
Yeah, and it's like, there aren't too many films from that era that sort of are like that just everybody saw it, where it was just this collective generational experience that we all kind of had.
Right. Even Star Wars. There's a lot of people think, I never saw Star Wars, never got into it, whatever. I don't know anybody who didn't see Back to the Future. I don't know anybody who didn't like it. Like, it's a perfect movie, right? So I picked the right car to own, right? I went the right route, without a doubt.
You did, though. You did.
And that car still looks futuristic. It's 2020.
It's true.
Come on, it's 2023, and that car still looks like they could be like, oh, look what's coming out next year. Be like, oh, that looks cool. It's amazing. What are the chances, dude?
You would not be shocked if it actually did, like, take off off the ground and just.
Hey, man, someday in my lifetime, I'm sure we'll see it. There's people trying to do it. It's just too goddamn heavy.
Yeah, I know. Well, like they have made some like little, like, smaller, like Star Wars speeder size kind of hovering vehicles. So
they have them, but in that design would be very difficult. That's the problem. They could just put it on a drone and move it around, but to make it look like that and somehow have those 4 points be what that's defying a few laws of gravity. But hey, man, they might do it someday.
Who knows? All right, so this leads me to another question, which is, what do you consider some other perfect films?
Oh shit. Damn it, boy, I'm not good at the cursing thing. I'm out of practice. I've been on for a few years. Other perfect, Shawshank, obviously. And you know why Shawshank's perfect? It's a short story. This is what people routinely screw up. They make things overcomplicated, man. It's a short story that could be read in a sitting. And the E.T. Another perfect movie. You know why it's a perfect movie? Because literally 3 things happen in the whole movie, and you get to sink into the characters as opposed to a convoluted plot that
Mhm.
and all this exposition. It's just kid finds alien, hangs out with the alien, helps alien go home. That's it. Everything else is just organic from what would happen if a kid found an alien, you know.
Right, right.
Same with Iron Giant, another perfect film.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect film. Because it's ET with a robot, but it's the same thing. Um I um I ugly cried so hard when I saw that. Um on the DVD, like I got the DVD, I heard good things about it, and I just remember when I'm gonna cry now when that beep happened and that little thing was banging against the window, dude. I freaking I was like grown man. Oh my god, dude. Yeah. To me, what makes a perfect movie is honest to goodness, the simplicity of the plot, which gives time for you to just enjoy the character development, you know. That's why, I could give two shits about all these Marvel movies. And like I loved Iron Man 1. That was a cool movie. That was neat. That was awesome. That was cool. And then that was it. I went to the Avengers with a friend who was really into Marvel, the first one, and I sat there just wanting them to slow the hell down so I could hang out with Robert Downey Jr. some more, or hang out like, what are we doing? And what is so to me, and I know I'm in the minority here
Mhm.
clearly.
Mhm.
Um, I cannot stand the Marvel movies. Like I'm just bored to tears. I hate the action. Looks cartoony. Like we just watched the first Indiana Jones because we're watching them all to watch the last one, and that first Indiana Jones is perfect. Raiders of the Lost Ark is perfect. And there's no CG, there's no crazy wild camera movements. It's just perfect placement, perfect lighting, like filmmaking. It's just and yeah, so I guess I'm just old because I am clearly in the minority here. People love all the big explosions and the CG and this, but the second I know the camera move is fake, my brain goes away. I might as well be watching Pixar. And all the so many of the Pixar movies are perfect because you accept it in
Right.
there, right?
It's
That's
supposed to be that way.
supposed to be. But these
That's
live
right.
action ones, man, my God, I haven't seen a live action movie that just made my jaw drop. And like, I don't even know, And I know I'm going to be disappointed by the new Indiana Jones. I don't care. I like Harrison Ford. I know he's stuck in this CG world, but I love him. That's already done with it.
Yeah. Well, he's the man.
Yeah, he's like the last big old school
Yep. Yep.
hero. Or,
And I think because it kind of looks like they're setting this up to pass the torch or something. I
yeah,
mean, I guess we won't know till we see it. But in a way, like I like that. Um, because the last movie, that was the one with Kate Blanchett,
yeah,
who is so good at being, scary and evil. But in general, that movie was really disappointing.
of course.
Because it was like showing like Indiana Jones like trying to develop a relationship with his son and like just all this like stuff about him being like this old guy and not you know people. I don't know, to me I feel like Indiana Jones is like an idea. Like we want to see him be cool and wear his hat and use his whip and like not that he doesn't have depth to his character, but like we want people show up to watch him be awesome.
Right.
And like to watch him kind of like doing all of this like adult stuff and like
Yeah, I
getting
never
into
thought
these
of it that way.
relationships to me like felt very weird. I was like,
It's also weird because I mean, God, that was 16 years ago. He
yeah,
was still doing all those stunts, and I mean, he was still kind of a badass, right? Like he still
right,
had.
right.
They were talking about the Goonies too, right?
Uh-huh.
and their kids and so forth. And I kept saying, I would kind of like to see middle-aged guys, might have something to do with being a middle-aged guy, but be put in situations they were in their 20s.
Right.
And just have to knock it out.
Right.
Because we can still do it. We just can't do it as many times in a row without needing a break.
Right.
You can take that a whole lot of ways. God, that was not supposed to be that illusion.
We're gonna let that one go.
Let that one go.
Let that one
individually, Kobe Bryant on his last game could score 60. He said, but I need to ice my knees for a week. Still got it, but I cannot recover. It's harder. So if the Goonies were put in, I would like to see them, no offense to their kids, I'd like to see them put in a situation where they have to remember, you know what, I'm still capable of this. I might be a little slower, I might break but I still have the same brain and the same ambitions and the same heart. Finding that again, I think there's stories there that are being missed because Hollywood keeps saying, "Oh, we got to bring in the younger people, and they got to share it," and it's like, no, you don't. You really don't. And maybe you'll lose a couple $100 million in the end, but you might. There's a movie to be made that will last the test of time if you just use the middle-aged people. Because again, I do know that, especially in my life and reinventing my life so many times, that I surprise myself. Like I think, well, that's it. I'm never going to have a big thing and then, or a big idea or a big grand thing again, because I'm just so tired now. Right. That's the change for me. And then the VR 180 thing comes. And now all of a sudden I have that same pep in my step that I had when I was 22. And I keep going. Now it's a little bit slower, but that my brain still got that thing. I don't think that thing goes away. So my 2 cents on middle age.
No, man, look, you make a very valid point. There was, some talk a few years ago about, rebooting Xena. And they were talking about, like really rebooting it, like recasting it. And I'm like, have you seen Lucy Lawless? Why would you recast it? Yeah,
no, there's the feeling that no one wants to see this and this. And it's like, well, it's because we've not let them see this and this.
Right.
It's like the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, well, kids don't want to see an old man do. I'm like, I don't know. I think if done correctly. Well, shit, Balboa.
Yeah.
The Rocky movie. Balboa was amazing. That movie was amazing because it gave him humanity. It made him old, but he still did it. And you still felt that thing. He still had that thing in him. And I get it. Obviously, at some point, you got to stop boxing and Creed and so on and so forth. But I thought Balboa was the perfect way to handle aging badass. Because they didn't just like bring in the young guy and do the thing, and it felt like a real story. So it has been done.
But it is hard. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's something about, like, it's important to have it still be about them doing the thing.
Yes, it has to be.
And like when it gets too bogged down in all that other stuff that is external to doing the thing, I think that's where it kind of falls apart. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. And actually, that's why I loved Logan, like the final Wolverine movie that Hugh Jackman did. Oh, it's good. Yeah. It's really good because it's not super heavy on the special effects. And it's just about, Wolverine, being old and being sick and like trying to do one last like important heroic thing before he dies.
Right.
And it's like, that was, one of the best superhero movies ever, in my opinion.
Right.
Humbly, my opinion.
Yeah, I'd rather see Indiana Jones attempt something and break his leg. Seriously. Like, I'm assuming what's going to happen is he's going to be in a situation where he's going to attempt something and then the goddaughter's going to do it. And then like, I see where they're probably going to go and I will be sad. but I'm still going to go see it. But yeah, I would much rather see him just keep trying. You know what I mean? That's what's inspiring to me. I don't care that you literally lose a limb. Like, I guarantee you, I'm going to die at some point attempting to do something I probably should not have attempted to do. But you'll die. You'll know, man, or my kids will know, man, my dad, that dude never quit. He just kept going, and he probably shouldn't have. But that's the point. If you're that kind of person that attempts crazy shit with, you know, what's his name? The Australian got stabbed in the heart, Steve Irwin. Yep, that's exactly how he should have died. And it's not sad at all. It's sad that his kids lost him when they did. I wish I had a few more years, but damn it, that was a good life. He did that's exactly what should have happened. I am preparing myself for the disappointment of Indy 5. But I just love Harrison Ford too much to not support seeing him, you know.
No, you gotta. All right. I wanna hear from you about VR 180 because I know you're super excited about it.
Yeah. And boy, Apple sure did nail home what I've been saying for like 10 months. So I'm very excited. VR 180 it's very simple. It's basically you watch it in a VR headset. It is 3-dimensional, and you are able to look everywhere, right? It is not 360, which is flat, not 3D, but you can look all around you, which is cool for playing video games. You know, that kind of, the ability to stand up and look behind you works when you're shooting bad guys or whatever. But for film viewing, you want to sit in a chair and you don't want to have to go like that. It doesn't make any difference that it ends right here. So it's a little more, it's easier to direct the viewer on where to look and let them still have some surprises. Like one of them might direct you over here. We're talking about something and somebody walks up, and it gives you this ability to actually toy with people a bit. You can even be sitting in a movie theater, and, you know, if you're watching a bad guy on the screen, you could show up literally in the seat next to you and give you that kind of feeling. But the thing that is really exciting is just the presence of even like what we're doing right now. So I did a podcast with Don, Mayor Goldie Wilson, for people who don't know every actor's name. And just us sitting at the bar for an hour talking like this. You put on the VR headset, and because it's filmed in such high resolution at 60 frames, it's 8K, 60 frames a second. It's breathtaking how present you feel. And when I first experienced it, I just said, man, this is going to actually turn into something. And I don't think people realize it yet because the VR headsets are so cumbersome. But when they turn into glasses that you are comfortable wearing, like you're wearing glasses right now, you're going to be hard pressed to not prefer it. And the other thing that made me believe it is, you know how so much video is shot vertically now because of our phones, right? TikTok makes a whole, like, whether we like it or not, the device does change video formats. It makes me crazy. I want everything horizontal, but I'm an old person. I understand now, you know, the same thing is going to happen when you have these glasses on, because you have two lenses that are just going to record your memories in that fashion. It's going to be 3D and it's going to be fisheye, so you'll be able to look around. So whether we like it or not, that's just going to be how it records. So even though right now, if you watch that Apple Vision Pro thing, they had a guy wearing it at his kid's birthday. I don't know if you saw that. They were like, you can record your memories this way. And this guy's at his kid's birthday party with this big apparatus on, going like this. And it looked really stupid. It'll take 10 years or so till it gets smaller. In the meantime, I guarantee you the next iPhone is going to have two lenses that you can just hold up. And then when you watch it back, you'll be able to watch it in this, again, until you've experienced it. It's impossible. And it's not just on MetaQuest. I I have all my films on DOVR, which is an app that anybody can download with any headset.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna give me links for all that stuff, right? So I can put it in the description.
I mean, if you don't have a headset, see, this is the other problem. Links don't matter because they don't link to your headset. This is the most aggravating part about making these things. So I posted on Facebook. Well, you can't see it. I mean, sure, here's a link to it, but until it's like, oh, you should download. Like you'll literally go download this on your headset. So unless you're wearing your headset when you go to Facebook, and then it's just such a backwards thing right now because it's way too early. It's just too early. Happy to give you the links, but honestly, me just saying DOVR, just saying that, hopefully, if anybody's got a headset, just go download the app and search for my name. I'm First Vlogger or Adam Contras. That's unfortunately the way you have to do it, which is going to make this really hard for a little bit. But I'm excited because I'm capturing my kids now and my parents now, even 10 years earlier. And then when this is all very normal, I mean, what's going to happen is like Apple or whatever, it's just going to become popular. Like, just like TikTok did. Like, all of a sudden, vertical, short format things, we don't know when it happened. We don't know who did it. Now everybody's doing it. And I keep telling my kids, I'm like, when you're teenagers or when you're in college, these kids are going to be like, have you seen this new way to watch movies? And they're like, oh, yeah, my dad was doing that in 2022 with us. Here's me trick-or-treating. And they're like, how is that even possible? They just invented this. Like, they're like, no. My dad was crazy, and he'd sunk like $12,000 into this whole thing is a computer. It is the biggest goddamn computer you've ever seen that I have to edit this stuff. It's insane. Computer was $5,000 just to render the files. So I'm way, way, way ahead of the curve, but I believe in it so much. I hope I'm right. But in the meantime, my kids get to throw on their headsets and watch all their memories. It's amazing. Oh, and one other thing. Mm-hmm. When you wear these glasses, right? Mm-hmm. What you're seeing through these glasses is not glass. It's not what your eyes see. It's a video camera being relayed to the screens. It's called video pass-through. So you can walk around with it, right? Mm-hmm. And again, what you're seeing, it's very low latency. So it looks just like real life. And as that improves, there is no difference between what you're seeing and what you're recording, which means once you get used to having your headset on and you're talking or whatever, if you happen to say record or however you record, when you play it back, it will look identical to your memories because what you were seeing the first time was video. So that's the point I keep trying to make to people, is that it's not even going to be a choice. It's just what we're going to do. The same way when you see something, you pick up your phone and hit record. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be so easy. It's just going to take a while because, my goodness, the optics have to be so good and the thing has to be so fast. And it's just a hard thing to do. But it's going, man, Apple Vision, although it's not a consumer product by any means, they'll probably only sell like 150,000 of them. They believe it. They know it's coming, and they sunk a lot into it. So I'm super excited for the future for sure. But yeah, right now you can get a Quest 2 for $299. I'm telling you, dude, for $300, the amount of things that you can do and the amount of experiences that you can have that literally just take you away. I just $300. I mean, we just got some Chinese food, cost $112 or something. Like, in the scheme of inflation, my goodness, that is a very cheap entertainment thing. But also, people just think it's for gaming, and they're like, well, I'm not a gamer, I'm not going to get it. I'm like, oh, no, there's a world of things happening right now, right? You might want to jump on, because it's just it's inspiring to me, because you get to see all this cool stuff that's happening, So, but yeah, I'm obviously a tech geek, clearly, because I bought into this stuff really early.
Yeah.
By the way, here's the crazy camera. Check this out.
What's that?
This is it. See the two eyes?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
little Wally, basically. But yeah, so everything's 3D automatically, and these are fisheye lenses, which
Wow.
get reprojected in a way that doesn't look fisheye at all.
Huh.
That's the thing. It doesn't look like what we think of as fisheye lenses
Hmm.
because you just move your head around, it just looks like normal life. So cool
That,
stuff, man.
that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you in terms of like I like getting the new tools because they inspire new approaches and things.
It's hard for our generation, though. I got to write a story for AARP about Michael Jordan turning 60, and I
Okay.
pitched an idea, and they liked it. And I'm going to do an article about kind of scolding our generation for being reticent to accept new technologies. Because, man, when we were kids, we were pushing everything. We were the ones dragging our parents into VCRs and this kind of, like we were known for that. We embraced the internet. And a lot of old people do not want to put a VR headset on.
Mm.
And that we're now becoming the stingy old I want my records. And where I appreciate it to a degree, it's just frustrating because stop, man. There's no reason our generation can't continue to be leading, and it's an imagination thing. Like you dream of the stars, you dream of the moon, you do dream of that seems to be like what the '80s kids were, and I'm very frustrated with a lot of our old people now that just refuse to do it. So I'm going to scold everybody on AARP. It's so
Yeah.
painful that I'm right.
I can't imagine.
Uh,
Yeah. But
it isn't. It is what it is, man. I mean,
yeah.
I guess I could dye all this gray, but fuck it. It is what it is, man.
All right. So, did you bring something for show and tell?
Oh, was this the I needed to tell you a book that what?
Yeah, or, whatever.
Dude, I spent 18 hours yesterday replumbing my house. Like,
So that's a no?
I mean, I don't know what it is. It was something that inspires you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't think. I mean, it's an awful as someone who writes a lot to say that. Okay, I will go into this.
Okay.
Say that writing is never. I've never read anything that inspires me ever. I don't think there's ever been anything I've read. It's just not how my brain works. Inspirational quotes, it just isn't what does it. It's always a feel. And we talked about like music and Beatles or those kind of things. And it wasn't the lyrics, it was everything. And it was how I felt after consuming a piece of art. And it was never just words. And I obviously words are art, but the feeling of something will stick with me, will wake me up in the middle of the night. Right. One of my biggest inspirations was Michael Jordan when I was a kid. And because of the work ethic and the ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds, right? Now, a lot of that was just my imagination and making him larger than life. And the New York Knicks were these big, bad people. And he was, but I think those kind of things transcend. Something about I've always liked about sports is that you can't write it. Like it's just everybody just puts it all on the court or on the field, and however it happens, and there's winners and losers, and it's theater. It's the only theater we have left, really, that's live, like Roman gladiator shit, right? So those kind of things are what inspire me. It's never words. It's like the worst thing to say to an author. I'm so sorry, but if your words made me feel something, I guess. But again, it's never a quote. It's never a sentence. I could never read you something and be like, that inspired me, because it never has. Is that awful? Am I less of a I feel like I can hear my mom going, because my mom was a voracious reader.
Oh no.
I wasn't. I straight up wasn't. I was always making shit, you know.
Yep.
My daughter's the same way. My daughter's read like 72 books this year, and she writes little synopses of everything. It has nothing to do with school. Like, you're a 10-year-old girl, just can't stop. Like, stacks of books, 10 books.
Yep. That was me.
Right. And I do appreciate, I get it. I do understand what it's doing to her. It has never done that to me, because what happens is I'll start to read something or whatever. I get a feeling, and then I go build a mini golf course in my backyard. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like an ADD. It's not that I don't appreciate the story, but this moment that kind of inspiration hits me, I'm off, man, because I got to create and create and create, and I got to write, and I got to sing, and I got to build, and I got to, I can't even express to you how weird it is to be this type of person, and pay a mortgage, right? Like, thank God I've done it, but it's a weird life. Like, I thought when I had kids, that part of my life was over, right? Like, obviously I'm not going to be an actor and do all these kind of things. Wouldn't you know it, I started putting windows in for the baby, and suddenly I built a mini golf course. This is why you got to watch part 2, because you see a crazy man who I've never built anything before, ever. I just was like, I have this idea, and wouldn't it be cool? And once it's in, I'm done. There goes 2 years of my life. I'm just going to start making it, and it becomes an obsession to keep creating and fulfill the idea. I don't have time to relax or I just, it's weird. I feel it's funny, after building GolfCon and the DeLorean, all that kind of stuff, I've just accepted that I'm kind of an alien, man. Like, I'm a weird, I feel like I have an affliction, because it doesn't make any sense that the same guy that did Adam and the Egos and all these songs then just built a house and built a golf course and a bar, and then it's just this throwing up of production, without even a care if anybody watches. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I still do the journey, been doing it for 24 years. I have no subscribers, really, because I never push it. I got a couple big viral things, but I do it because I have to do it. I have to. It's what recalibrates my brain to document, and to, you know, to put a button on stories and move to the next one. And if I haven't properly documented it, I can't move on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I'm not writing and I'm not recording and I feel incomplete. And then once it's done, oh, thank God it's done. And it just, as I get older, it doesn't change. I thought it would slow down, but it's not. So I don't know what that is. So yeah, when you asked me to read something that inspired me, I'm like, oh shit, I have nothing.
Well, that's, surprisingly a valid answer. So
I hope, my goodness. I hope you start interviewing more weird people than just authors, right? Have you? Is it just been authors?
Nope.
Oh.
No, the vision for this has always been broader than that. So, authors, filmmakers, singer-songwriters, storytellers.
Right. Yeah, I'm. I don't even really watch many new movies, honest to goodness, because of the time commitment. I do, like, there's something, but for the most part, and this sucks. You're gonna hate this. This is where the writers strike. Obviously, I'm for the writers.
Right.
However, I do have to say, the value placed in writing has shifted for scripted television and movies. I have to admit that a lot of my free entertainment time does go to short form content like TikTok, and just seeing what little sparks of idea. TikTok to me is sparks of idea. I've gotten more inspiration from watching a TikTok of somebody doing something silly, very little quick 10-second that to me is almost like food,
Mm.
right? So for me to sit down and watch a scripted TV show is going to take way more than it used to. It used to be that's all I did,
Mhm.
right? That was what I did with my free time. The world's changing, and that means the economics are going to change. And with all these streaming platforms, they're going to go like this, all of because it's too much, and people are just picking up their phones and watching funny cats and doing that kind of stuff. There's still a place for it. Don't mind that. There's still a place for it, but I'm just not certain it's where it's going to sustain as many writers as it used to.
Mm.
So I'm a little concerned about the future of that. And I got all my friends that are striking, and I want them to kick ass. And I want them. I mean, first of all, the bullshit that the streaming CEOs did. They basically took the greatest time of streaming, took all the money, told them it was bullshit. Now it's actually becoming bullshit, and the writers just lost all of that time, and that sucks. That sucks. That's just unfortunate. So yeah, ended on a high note. I'm
Ending
good.
on a high note. All right. Well, see, now this actually is the exact reason why I have the lightning rounds.
Ooh, lightning rounds.
Yes. At the end of every show, we do a lightning round, and what it is depends on the guest.
Okay.
So I'm going to come in here, and we're going to do something with the egos.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a handful of situations, and you are going to tell me which of the egos you would most prefer to have with you in that situation.
Also, none of these people know who Adam and the Egos were. Like we've lost half the audience. I show on CBS, the early show, a little bit called Adam and the Egos, where it started as a stage show where I was on stage with 4 televisions, and we'd play live, and I was all of these people in a mock boy band that hated each other so much they couldn't actually appear on stage together. They had to do it through TVs. Adam was this arrogant lead singer. His brother Cameron, who had the glasses, was actually me. And then all these egos, a flamboyant guy, a hippie guy, and a gangster wannabe. Pretty tropey characters, but with more heart, I believe, than most. And then I got picked up on CBS to do it as we were rating the talent of other acts that were submitting to CBS, and we got full run. Like I got to be on The Price is Right. I got to do unbelievable, amazing stuff with these characters, and I miss them desperately. And I would like to do them again at 50. That's my goal, is to do like the egos at 50 and see what they're doing now. But it was cool because I got to do, because I could grow enough facial hair to be each person every week. I basically grew as much as I could. I turned it into one thing, right? And then I shaved my way down to the last person who had no facial hair, and then hoped I would grow it back enough in a week to do it again. It was so much fun. It was one of the greatest things I've ever done. I was such a cool year. But yeah, all of them were different kind of types of my personality. Although it's funny, I always used to say Dewey was the one that I had none of that. But you know, looking back now, since I've met my wife, I have learned to be a little more chill. So interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Wow, you're really helping me work my brain out a little bit. Thank you. I'm appreciating the hell out of this, Jen.
Cool.
God, love you. I love you. It's the greatest question I've ever heard in my life. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Dinner at Buckingham Palace.
Am I Adam?
You're Adam, and
Okay,
you
because
have...
I mean, the trick to the egos is I was really Cameron the whole time. Yeah, I was Cameron. Adam was some weird affectation of me, but I was always Cameron.
Okay.
This is going to make it a little. Can we just pretend I'm Cameron?
All right. Okay. Fair enough. We can
got
pretend.
my readers.
Okay. All right.
Good.
All right, Cameron.
So if I'm Cameron, I'm going to Buckingham Palace. It would have to be well, Princess, shit. I would have to be Spencer because Spencer would kill me otherwise. He was such a huge fan of Princess Diana. Want to be, if you know, I don't know if you noticed, but in his room in Adam and the Egos, he had a cardboard cutout of Princess Diana.
Oh my God. No, I
So
didn't notice that. Okay.
that's
Okay,
Spencer.
so that's the obvious. Okay. Um, in a boardroom full of lawyers.
Oh God, if I'm Cameron, Gary, I think he'd be my muscle.
Mm,
He'd
mm-hmm,
act like he was my muscle at least, right? You
mm-hmm,
hope those are the two people that might get the job done, but I don't know.
mm-hmm,
That's really hard, man. It's between Gary and Adam. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now we're going to bring some time travel bullshit into this.
Okay.
Okay.
Curse too. You curse too.
I did. I did because I've given up.
Yeah,
Um,
this one's over.
all right. So now you're on a pirate ship in the 1800s. Who's with you?
um. Oh, it has to be. If I'm Gary, it has to be Gary. Has to be right. I
Mhm.
need somebody who has way more ego than sense. Gonna help, and he's just gonna jump in because he's gonna act like he's all this shit. But even if it isn't, at least it's somebody willing to throw himself into the fire. Um, I like that. That's a good one.
Okay.
I don't know many scenarios where Dewey's gonna fit in other than just trying to chill the hell out. But sorry, I
Yeah,
thought we,
well, that's what this is for. This one's the hippie commune.
yeah, obviously Dewey. Yeah,
That's obviously Dewey.
Dewey. I've fallen in love with Dewey more as I've gotten older.
Mm,
Uh, maybe since meeting my wife, who is just pretty peaceful and relaxed most of the time. And for someone like me, I need to let go. Like I really need a balance.
mhm,
Um, my wife's always concerned like she hasn't done enough or ambitious enough, and I'm like, the reason we work is we're a great balance. All right, like you don't. Not everybody should be like me. It'd be an awful world to live in. Like there, I don't think you can have two people constantly shooting for the stars. You're gonna be homeless. Like I need some grounding peace, and Dewey is just lovable and peaceful. And maybe that was me trying to balance out my own head, and I needed somebody. I needed that because I was not that. I had none of that
mm,
as a young adult.
mm.
My God, I had none of that. At least now kids ground you real quick, right?
Mm, mm.
Real quick.
True, true. Okay, in the Old West, town in the Old West.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean Gary again, same as the pirate ship. You know,
Mm, okay.
in some of these situations, the best person to have with you is clearly the person that um again has more ego than sense, has more brash
Hmm.
than because if you overthink those situations, you're dead.
Okay. Vegas in the 40s.
Adam. Yeah. That metrosexual type Adam, not me. But yeah, that kind of looks good, cares about it,
Mm,
right? Has that
hmm.
swagger, you know. Um, I got to remind myself I can do that. It's been a long time, dude. I haven't looked good since like 2015, 2016. You know what I mean? Like it's so much work now.
It
Like
is. It
I know
is.
I
It's true.
have the ability, but like I'm always going to be struggling with my weight. Like I lose it for the movie. Like, do you know how hard it was to be 2010 Adam again,
Mm,
2022?
mm,
Dude, it took so much work. And I looked at it for a couple months. And then of course I start creating stuff and boom, you gain 20 pounds. I don't even think about like it's a lot of work. So I don't have it in me really, unless there's a specific reason. But Vegas in the 40s, yeah, Adam, for sure. Wow, you found a way. Did you know that? No, you didn't know that. I'm
I
not sure.
didn't. I
You were
didn't.
actually,
I really didn't know who. Well, I think that's our show. So
yeah.
I'm gonna do a sign off.
All right.
All
What a
right.
great Great questions. God, Jen, I've done a lot of interviews, man. But you made me think in a ways. That's kind of why I wish I was like, don't send me. It's like you're gonna see my, but you actually got me to believe in it. That's cool. Good stuff. I love your show.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man. So that's our show, you beautiful nerds. Thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the links in the description below to learn more about Adam and all his stuff. And as ever, the Geek Girls have all the goodies for you. So for best results, insert in brain. Take care, take it easy, and stay geeky.